Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Onyx Tavern Vlog series on Restless Sentai ToQger. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, and today we will be talking about Station 21, The Runaway Bride. Which, by the way, this has nothing to do with a Julia Roberts movie. This is not a spin-off. This is yet another body-switching episode of Super Sentai. Let's talk about the plot first. So basically the plot is the hours growing closer in which Greta has to marry Emperor Zet. She comes up with this plan to switch bodies with one of the ToQger so that she can run away in one of the ToQger's bodies, and then of course Zet has to marry Greta's body, which would have one of the ToQgers in there. Now, before we actually get into the real meat of the episode, let me point out how much I'm starting to really hate the body switching premise here. Now, the thing is, I think for the last 7 seasons in Super Sentai, we've had this premise, and possibly for much longer. Again, it's been a long time. I haven't really seen a lot of the Sentai episodes, and I know in Power Rangers we had way back in Season 1 when Kimberly and Billy did it. Now, here's the thing. We've already seen the episodes where, you know, Go On Red switches into a Banky body. We have Shinkanger, you know, they switch bodies with inanimate objects. Kyoryuger we had where they swapped with everybody else. It's a tired old plot, and it seems to be crop up every season. It's like a transporter malfunction or the holodeck gone amok in Star Trek. It happens every season. There's always a plot revolved around it, and you want to see something new, or at least something new with the concept. For this particular episode, you know, switching the souls, the mind, the katra, whatever it is, it's getting tiresome. And we've seen them switch into the bodies of the villains, and there's always a plot device, and, you know, if we destroy the villain, we'll switch back. If we don't, you know, there's all these different things that are happening. There's nothing really interesting with the concept anymore. And actually, you know, something I want to go ahead and point out here that I find really odd is that less and less are we actually seeing male and female switches. It's always of the same gender, and it's always done for comedic effect and never for any type of serious dramatic storyline. And it's kind of done for drama here, but what happens in the episode is Greta switches with Mio. Now, the other ToQgers, the 3 males, they all switch. Takachi, Hikari, and Wright, they all switch bodies with each other, and that's done for comedic effect, because they all switch clothes, they get their mannerisms, which to me seems like a good bit of acting, but again, we've kind of seen that before. That is really kind of taking up the bulk of the episode. The switch in the drama, I mean, like, yeah, it's in there with Mio and Greta, but it's not really played up as much as I think it should. That should have been dominating the episode, not this little comedic side plot of what the guys are doing, have to wear these headbands to identify who they are and stuff. I mean, and that's another thing too, is like, they really need to hammer it in who's in whose body instead of letting the confusion kind of set in for the audience, which I think is really what should be going on. But again, the drama is not being played up as it should, I believe. But yeah, that's just kind of my spiel on the whole body switching thing. I'm tired of it. I hope Ninja will not have this plot element in there, and I hope it doesn't come back for some time, unless, again, you can do something really interesting and really dramatic with it. That being said, so the episode is, again, they switch bodies, but it's all built around, again, Greta's getting married to Zet. Now, here's some interesting thing about the villains. Now, the episode actually begins with Madam basically talking to Greta about there is a ulterior motive for this wedding, and they go off into the shadows. Now, we are not privy to this information at this particular time. Whatever they're planning, we'll probably find out in the next episode, or maybe down the line, depends on how they want to do it. We're also aware that somebody was spying in on this meeting, but we're not sure who. The camera kind of lingers in the castle space and gives the impression that somebody's there, but doesn't necessarily say who it is. Could be Schwartz, could be Zet, could be Nero. We don't know at this particular point. But Greta, here's the interesting thing, is like, so we know that all 3 of our main antagonists are plotting against Zet in some way. Schwartz is doing some sort of military build-up. The Baron is trying to do something because he believes the Emperor's lost his way. And I think Madam's always had something kind of planned in the background. But again, we've barely been able to focus on her for 2 minutes up to this particular point, you know, almost halfway into the series. But whatever she's got planning, whatever she's got going on, it's going to start as soon as they get married, is what it seems. Another interesting thing in here is, so here's Greta's plan. She basically says to Schwartz, here's what we're going to go ahead and do. I'm going to switch spies with ToQger. I'm going to have a human body. You're going to meet me at the rendezvous point, and we'll run away together. That seems to be the plan here. What's interesting with Schwartz in this is that Greta tells him, this is what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to run away together. But when she gets to the rendezvous point, it's Zet waiting there for her, not Schwartz. Which leads me to believe that Schwartz betrayed her. And that is, I think, the most interesting part of this episode. Now, there's some stuff with the ToQger we'll get into, but I think as far as the villains are concerned, we have Schwartz, who we don't know what exactly he is doing. He's going to go against the Emperor somehow. He knows that Greta is in love with him, and I'm not saying he's in love with her, but he's going along with it and stuff, and wants to work with her, and she wants to help him, obviously. But if he definitely betrayed her in this episode, first of all, what is his end game with that? Did he betray her to help her in this situation, or did he betray her to gain whatever it is that he's doing? Which seems very dangerous, knowing Greta has an idea of what's going on. But again, Zet already knows that he is being betrayed by Schwartz, and he's allowed this charade to go on. So maybe now that dynamic is going to go ahead and change. Now that now Schwartz basically came to Zet and said, hey, dude, this is what's going on, what Greta's doing. Maybe he's just turning Greta into to cover his own tracks. That's interesting. So who knows what's going to go ahead and happen from this point. But I feel bad for Greta that if Schwartz if Schwartz betrayed her in this fashion to give away the plan so that she would have to get married, that's diabolical. That's pretty bad when you turn on the person that loves you. And even if he has, the thing is, if he has feelings for her, it's even worse. If he doesn't have feelings for her and let her on, well, that's still bad itself. So along with this as well, what's actually interesting is at the end of the second act, before the last commercial break, both the Baron and Madam get together. Now, the Baron knows what's going on. He knows that Greta is going to betray him. And he knows that Madam is going to betray the Emperor Zet. And Madam has her own plan going on. So at the end of the episode, the two basically begin to duel with each other. Then we get our commercial break, and we don't go back to them for the rest of the episode, which is a little disappointing because that's a lot more interesting than what was going on with the bubble monster in which the ToQger were fighting. Yes, it is a bubble monster that swaps bodies, so yeah. Hopefully that's going to be resolved in the next episode, because, here's the thing. For all the bad things that people have said about the villains of Lightspeed Rescue, and of course Linkara has said a lot, one of my favorite episodes and one of my favorite scenes in all of Lightspeed Rescue was in Rise of the Super Demons, where Diabolical Olympus fought it out. And I think that's something that was really good for the series, and something I wanted to see here, because I think, again, the drama that's going on with our villains is far more interesting than what's going on with our heroes. So now, another thing that's actually curious is, so Greta gets this bubble monster to help them switch bodies. Now, he actually says to himself after the deed is done and everything, that if you stay in a switched body too long, then you're going to go ahead and die. He knows this, but did not tell Greta this. So Greta has this whole plan. She's going to run away in Mio's body and live happily ever after, but the villain failed to tell her this. I mean, again, she is essentially the Empress, because again, she's going to get married, the fact is, she is higher above him. He's supposed to follow her orders, and yet he sets us up that's solely going to go ahead and kill her. Now, it might be that ties into the plot of Schwartz or the Baron or anybody else here, or even Madam. Maybe she knew about the situation. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that he was going to kill Greta over this and didn't tell her. So that's kind of odd, I would go ahead and say, because I've never seen that type of backstabbing amongst villains. So that's all I really have to go ahead and say regarding, I guess, the villains and what's going on here. Now, the story is about Mio, and here's something else that I think is maybe a little contrived, or maybe something they had planned out at the beginning. Now, for those of you who don't know, the person who's doing the voice of Greta is the actress that plays Mio. It's the same person. So either A, they wrote that into the series Bible saying we're going to have this swap because it's going to be the same actress. That way we can get the same voice performance without having to do a lot of extensive dubbing and ADR and so forth. And I get that. Or this was a last minute thing. They're like, well, let's switch her with Mia because we already got the same voice actress and it's the only thing we can go ahead and do. Because, of course, it'd been a lot more interesting if it was Wright or Takashi Hikari or even Akira, if they switched bodies. I think that would have been, again, not more comical, but I think it would have been a lot more interesting to go ahead and watch, other than, again, Mio switching with Greta and all that. But it's a Mio story, and basically what's happening is also not really explained in this episode. First of all, Mio's having flashbacks to her childhood, which is always great anytime we get those to help better understand where the ToQger came from. But for some reason, she's becoming physically exhausted. She can't seem to sleep. She seems tired. She has headaches. And she has a great little dialogue there with Kagura at the end where she's just saying, Daijoubu, Daijoubu, I'm fine, it's okay. But Kagura, she just can't handle this. You know, you keep saying you're fine and I want to help you, but I can't help. And I think that's a great little character building moment between the two, that they want to help each other out, but if you're not being honest about it, then what am I supposed to go ahead and do? So I really do like that with the characters. But again, something that's going on, these flashbacks of Mio's, there's something odd going on here. Again, we don't know what's happening to her. And she makes the line about not all of her memories are happy memories. That there is something significant about this festival that she was at. Which she was at with Kagura at the same time when they were children. I also want to go ahead and point out that this is a great opportunity to try and find out about their hometown. Now, why do I say that? It's because the episode begins talking about summer festivals. And in Japan, what's actually kind of interesting is a lot of the festivals they have are very regionalized. You know, there'll be festivals that happen in Kanto and festivals that happen in Kansai. They're completely different but happen at the same time. When I was in Kyoto, we had the Gion Festival, which is exclusive to that particular area. And as far as I know, it is not anywhere else in the country, although I could be wrong about that. So when you think about Summer Festival, if Mio could just like remember the name of the festival, you know, or when the festival took place, then they can narrow down exactly where the festival is, when it is, and what towns celebrate that at that particular time. So I'm hoping that when we get to the next episode, that she will remember this. And I do believe it's going to go into the next episode, simply because if it's taking a physical toll on her body, and there seems to be a dark memory associated with it, that to me is more of a let's find out in the next episode as opposed to let's kind of drop it and move on from there. That's what it seems to be in my mind. Could be wrong, but I hope that's not. But hopefully she'll find out this information, and we can maybe get a step closer to finding the hometown. Again, it's not even halfway through the series, but that's the logical thing to do, I think, given the way how festivals are. It's like, did anybody ever listen to the song The Watermelon Crawl? You know, there's a line in there about a festival down in Georgia. That Watermelon Festival is only held down in Georgia. So if you know where it is in Georgia, you could find your way back home. That's just kind of my thought about it. Let's see. Another interesting thing, well, actually something to point out that I find that's odd. So Mio, or Greta and Mio's body runs away. And yet, when Mio is in Grita's body, she can't get back on the rainbow line. Now, this can be explained by the fact that she doesn't have a rainbow pass, but as my viewers have stated to me, in the Kamen Rider ToQger crossover, which, by the way, I did not watch, stated that they could have a temporary pass to allow someone on the train. Now, considering that that is canon, or at least it sounds like canon, given superhero ties in and all that kind of stuff, why couldn't they do that for Grita? Especially knowing that now that, or excuse me, Mio in Grita's body, especially knowing that Mio is now susceptible to sunlight, and, you know, she needs to be in the dark because that's what her body demands. Why wasn't that something that was discussed other than saying, you go out and wander the city by yourself, which seems to be a very dangerous thing to do, and it turned out to be, of course. And this was a situation where Mio didn't have to do anything. She just had to sit around and wait for the men to save her, which, yeah, that's kind of how these plots go, I guess. And then, of course, there's never a thought of trying to track Grita and Mio's body. And yes, you can track her because she has both the Rainbow Pass, which is a telecommunications device, as we've established, and she has the Morpher, which I believe you can track that as well. But there's no attempt ever made to track her. Now, of course, it is stated that if you destroyed the monster, then the bodies will switch back, which I appreciate other than some other convoluted method, but I think there should be two fronts going here, not only to take care of Mio, but also to track down Mio's body and to fight the monster at the same time. I think you could have done both those things. So again, just kind of lapses in logic there. Well, that's all I really kind of got for this episode. I know I had a lot to talk about, but again, the villain stuff is just so interesting. Again, the backdrop of this is a stupid body switching episode, but I think they got a lot of good things off of it, and I hope they will continue with the things that they establish in this episode. I really want us to get back on track with them trying to find their hometown. I'm really tired of all this sidestepping. I mean, we took 4 or 5 episodes to establish the 6th ToQger. Let's go back to significant episodes where every episode leads us into something else. Because I hate the concept of filler. A lot of these episodes are filler now, and I just want us to, let's get some plot going, is what I'm saying, in regards to ToQger, because we got enough plot for the villains, which is amazing. But the show is called Russia Sentai ToQger, not Russia Shadow Line anything. Okay? So, alright. So those are my thoughts on episode 21, or excuse me, Station 21. What'd you guys think about it? Did you think it was a good episode? Was it bad? Whatever. Tell me what you think. And next time we will be back with Station 22, and we'll see where this takes us. But again, thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.